begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. Today, Toronto is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I'd also like to remind everyone that this is an active work site, so please follow all safety protocols. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the TTC's Greenwood complex, which has been an essential part of our operations since it opened in 1965. This facility is where much of the subway fleet, including Line 2 trains, is repaired and maintained by our dedicated crew. At the TTC, our mission is to keep Toronto moving, and Line 2 plays a critical role in this. Spanning from Etobicoke to Scarborough, it connects over 130 TTC routes, 19 regional routes, and the Up Express serving as a vital link for our city. I am delighted to see representatives from all levels of government here today, and it's clear we share a common vision, building a safe, reliable, and efficient public transit system for all Torontonians. And with that, it is my privilege to invite the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Chrystia Freeland, to deliver her remarks.
Thank you very much, Jamal, and thank you for so gracefully navigating the stack here. I always love making announcements with a Mayor Chow for many reasons, but one is we're both the same height. So if we can have podiums designed for us. Look, this is a wonderful, wonderful day. I am so thrilled to be here, and I just want to start by thanking the amazing people who work here. When we ride the subway, we are really just glad to get to school and to work and visit our friends. And we don't always think about the hard work that everyone here does to keep those trains running. So I just want to take a minute to say, wow, what an amazing job you do. It's great to see how hard everyone here is working. It's wonderful to see the pride that the people here with us today take in your work. I enjoy the explanations I have of how you keep the brakes maintained and overhauled and running. And I just really want to start by saying thank you very, very much. Can we all give them a hand? Who rides the TTC today will take a moment to think about the hard work that people do here to keep those trains running. I am so glad to be here with some great Toronto MPs, my colleagues, with Julie DeBrusen, with Ali Assassi, and with John McKay. It is great to be here with our colleagues from Ontario, with my counterpart, Peter Bethlen-Folby, and Pragmat Sarkaria, and Olivia Chow. Je voudrais commencer en soulignant qu'on a des bonnes nouvelles en ce qui concerne l'économie. Maintenant, en octobre, l'inflation était à 2%. Ça veut dire que pour 10 mois, l'inflation était dans la fourchette cible du Banque du Canada. C'est une très bonne nouvelle pour tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes, pour tous les gens qui vivent ici à Toronto. Et à cause de cela, c'est possible maintenant pour le taux d'intérêt diminuer. Le Canada était le premier pays du G7 dans lequel le taux d'intérêt a diminué pour la première fois. Le premier pays dans le G7 dans lequel le taux d'intérêt a diminué pour la deuxième fois. Le premier pays dans le G7 dans lequel le taux d'intérêt a diminué pour la troisième fois. Et le premier pays dans le G7 dans lequel Google devrait adhérer pour la 4e fois, et c'est aussi une très bonne nouvelle pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes. And that brings me to today's amazing announcement. We know how important the TTC is. We know that more than 2 million people a day rely on this important subway. And we know where Toronto is going, and we need to have public transit that grows with the needs of our growing city. And that's why I am so glad to be announcing today nearly $1.2 billion over the next decade for the TTC. That's a lot of money. $758 million of this $1.2 billion is for 55 new TTC subway cars. So the gentleman who prepared the brakes will have some more equipment to work on. As Jamal said, these subway cars are going to run on line 2, the Bloor line. So many people in Toronto depend on it. It runs through my riding as well. And I am just so glad that we're going to have some fabulous new subway cars for the Bloor line. As an added bonus, these cars are manufactured here in Canada, here in Ontario, in Thunder Bay. So this is about great public transit for the people of Toronto and great jobs for the people of Thunder Bay. We know how important public transit is, and that's why we have launched the Canada Public Transit Fund, through which this funding is delivered. That fund is going to be delivering $3 billion per year, which is permanent, predictable funding for Canada's cities, including, of course, Toronto. This money builds on the significant, consistent investments our government has been making in public transit projects across the country. And so much of that investment has come here to Toronto, a city that relies on public transit, a city whose circulatory system is public transit. Since 2015, total transit funding from the federal government to Toronto has been $11.56 billion. That is a big investment, and we're glad to have made it because that is what Toronto needs. That funding includes, in November 2023, new TTC streetcars. In December 2022, capacity investments at the crucial Bloor station, also in the Great Riding at the University of Rosedale. And in 2021, the new Scarborough subway extension, Eglinton Crosstown West, Ontario Line, and Yonge North subway extension. Our government knows how important Toronto is. We know how important public transit in Toronto is. And we are really glad to be making this further investment today. Et pour finir, je voudrais souligner un élément très important de notre événement d'aujourd'hui. Et c'est qu'aujourd'hui, nous voyons ce qu'on peut faire quand tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes. It's important because we need to invest in the TTC. It's important because we need to keep on investing in our public transit. It's important because we need more subway cars. It's important because great people in Thunder Bay are going to have great jobs building those subway cars. It's also important because what we're seeing here today is the great things we can do in our great country when we work together. We have here today the federal government, the province, and the city coming together to make a major investment in public transit in our great city. There are different parties represented who's riding here.
Hello everybody, this is such an exciting day for our city, and I want to pick up from where our Deputy Prime Minister left off, which is all the amazing things that we do when we all work together across orders of government. Because just in the past month in the East End, I've had the opportunity to be down in the Portlands, where we lifted out the North Club, connected the new mouth of the Don River with the Lake Ontario. That was a project by all orders of government working together. It unlocks housing for about 100,000 people when that project is complete. That's us all working together. And just, I think it was last week, maybe a little bit more than that, I was with the mayor, all orders of government again, just on Coxwell, announcing funding for Indigenous men through NAMI Res for building affordable housing for people experiencing homelessness in our city together. And today is another great example because we're working together to help people get around our city. So when we all work together, we can accomplish such great things. One of the main reasons that I ran was to see that the federal government was always going to be there as a partner to our city, and I think these are great examples of how it can happen. Really exciting day. I'm also going to say, as a TTC rider, I took the TTC to get here just a little bit earlier. I'm a Line 2 person, and I was just talking a bit earlier with some people here who work at TTC about, a little bit of envy when you get off of Line 2 and you step onto Line 1. They have air conditioning, more space, it feels really nice. This is a chance for such amazing improvements for everyone who's using transit across Line 2. Alors c'est une belle journée pour tout le monde qui utilise le transport en commun dans notre ville, mais surtout pour les gens qui utilisent les deux. C'est une belle journée pour voir comment les gouvernements peuvent travailler ensemble. And I'm just so happy. Welcome to the amazing Greenwood Yards. Thank you to all of the workers here doing an amazing job for all of us. And I'm really looking forward to being able to ride around on Line 2 and see these amazing investments come through. Thank you.
I don't think I need to step. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to be here today with all of you and for this very, very exciting announcement. I want to start by also thanking TTC and the incredible workers that are here today. Just looking and walking through the shop, incredibly utilized, very busy. And for many of you, many of the riders that sometimes don't get to see the faces behind the TTC, it's incredible to see what you guys are doing day in and day out to not only keep the TTC moving and running, but also to keep us safe. And so thank you to all of you that are working tirelessly to help move people and transit across the city. It's also great to be here with my colleague, Minister of Finance, and to be joined by all levels of government, the Deputy Prime Minister, and many of our other MPs, as well as Mayor Chow in the city of Toronto. First, to purchase 55 new trains for the TTC's Line 2 subway, which was conditional on a matching support from the federal government. 12 months later, we're here today. Premier Ford, Minister Bethlenfalvy, and myself are thrilled to see that day arrive and to celebrate these new TTC cars and what it means for transit in the city of Toronto. These investments, all three levels of government are making, will not just support Toronto's transit system, but the thousands of well-paying for jobs, workers at Thunder Bay will build these trains as well. Toronto is the economic hub of Canada, and when Toronto succeeds, Ontario succeeds. It's also why we're investing $70 billion over the next 10 years to support public transit in Ontario, and especially in Toronto.
Thank you. It's great to be here. C'est un grand plaisir d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui. C'est une belle journée, absolument. I also take Queen's Park Line 1 and 2 to visit my father in Etobicoke. So these subway cars are amazing, folks. All the great workers, they travaillent, you are a core part of moving people boy, you thought you were working hard now. These 55 subway cars are going to keep you working for a long, long time, a great paying job. So a big shout out to all our great workers here. Thanks again for doing this. I'm tall, but I'm not tall enough to be Prime Minister of Finance. My colleague has pointed out. So thank you, Minister Sarkaria. You know, this is a good day. This is a good day for moving people and moving goods in our great city and our great province and our great country. As the Minister of Transportation mentioned, you know, Toronto is not only the economic heartbeat of Ontario, it represents the economic heart share. The year before, 1 million people came to this province. The population moved from 15 million to 16 million, and it takes vision and a lot of hard work and working together that allows us to build the Ontario of the future to accommodate all those people that are coming to our great city. I would like to say, before I pass it to Mayor Chow, that, you know, it was about a year ago that we started working on this together to say, hey, let's figure out the things that will make Toronto prosper. Let's focus on the things that will make Ontario prosper. And so I'm very proud that we worked together to get not just subway cars, but we worked to help our most vulnerable asylum seekers. We worked hard on making sure that we could get more police and security on our subways to make it safe for people to ride the TTC. We're really happy and pleased that the ridership is now back to pre-pandemic levels. Couldn't have got it done without Mayor Chow. Couldn't have got it done without Minister of Finance, Christopher Phelan. When we work together, we get so much more done. And of course, we have a lot more to do together. And I'm confident that we will get more done together. So,
Toronto, we are ordering 55 subway cars. Yippee! Yes, I am so. Yeah, we're celebrating a generational, once-in-a-lifetime investment to keep TTC moving. And thank you to Deputy Prime Minister Greenwood, Minister Sarkaria, Minister Iynkaran.T, and the 4th, 6th Liberal Caucus here, and the local MP, and of course, TTC Chair Myers, and all of you working together, getting the order in. You know, a lot of the riders have been saying, gee, the subway cars are old. Sometimes not the most reliable. Sometimes it's slowed down. Sometimes the tracks or the signals may not be working perfectly. And 6 years ago, the former CEO said we need a capital investment plan. And the subway cars are one of the things that got identified. You know why it's important to have new cars? It's not just about the new cars. It means that we can now install, once the car is delivered, advanced train control. What's that? That is using GPS. Imagine that. Using GPS. This is the time that we use GPS. So that the cars can come more frequently. And that is the magic of these new cars, because we can also have new signals and new technology. We know how important Line 2 is for Toronto. It moves 3 times as many people per day as in the Gardiner Expressway. And these cars are just at the end of this operation life. Yes, we had a new deal, historic new deal. Last year, 2 days ago, in fact, I remember that day very well, we stopped that new deal. And the provincial government and the federal government are now all coming together to say we will invest. We will invest in public transit. Today's announcement of the federal funding unlocks a key contribution and commitment from Ontario to get the new subways cars ordered. And we are really back on track. When Toronto is moving, Canada is growing. Our partners in the federal and provincial government understand that. And I, as a mayor, I know this, I see it here every day. People are saying stronger when we are coming together. We are stronger when we are together, when we work together. That's why today this investment is reliable, public transit, and also affordable. Just again want to thank Deputy Prime Minister Freeland for today's finally unlocking the investment, and to our provincial partners, a big thank you. And to all the workers, I know you're as excited as I am. To the TTC riders, it's happening, so let's have a reliable and affordable public transit system. Thank you so very much.
Both Mayor Chow and Minister Sakari made a point of saying that the deal that they had reached was a year ago. I believe Mr. Bethlehem always said that as well. To you, Deputy Prime Minister, if you would, why has it taken a year before the feds have stepped up and
Thanks for the question. And let me just say, the federal government is very proud to be the strongest partner for the City of Toronto of any federal government in Canada's history. That is because we recognize what you heard from Mayor Chow, what you heard from Peter, what you heard from Pravi, that when Toronto is growing, when Toronto is moving, that is good for the whole economy of our great country. We believe in Toronto, we believe in investing in Toronto, and I am very glad to be here today to announce $1.2 billion of investment in Toronto's public transit. This is just the first tranche, the $758 million. And I am so glad that we are able to be here today and say, as Olivia said, yay! 55 new subway cars for the Bloor line for 1 and 2. And let's not forget, great jobs for the people who built them in Thunder Bay.
As a follow-up to that, obviously the subway system and the TTC is very important to the transportation system in this city. Bike lanes are also a big topic of conversation. I won't ask you, Deputy Prime Minister, your opinion because you have to be part of the conversation. However, the two people on either side of you are standing next to each other and have both been involved in that conversation. So if you would, if both of you could answer the question about where are we now that the legislation has passed, and what happens at this point now that that deal has been done essentially, you have to try and work things out at this point.
Well, now that the bill is passed, we can focus on building more homes faster and investing in public transit, because if we're talking about congestion, a good public transit system can move a whole lot of people. So I think that's about all I can say. And if you want anything more than that,
If the Minister could address the bike lanes, what you have discussed at this point and what's not discussed.
Look, as you know, the legislation has passed and received royal assent, and we've made our position pretty clear on it. We look forward to continue to work with the city on very important projects with other partners that we're collaborating on right now. $70 million investment there. We announced and visited, that's ahead of schedule by 4 months, so we're moving people. Public transit investments, we're here today, announcing this great investment of over $750 million that we the city.
Well, thank you, Harrison. News, Mr. Secretary, I'd like to take away from second, if you don't mind. You mentioned, we heard today about the massive amount of people that this line moves under forestry. You mentioned that the Ontario line is going to get 28,000 people out of cars every day. These are all good things. Why are you encouraging people to drive more on forestry than by bike?
Well, look, our position has always been that it's balance and options. People can take the subway, and we're investing a records amount in our public transit, $70 billion over the next 10 years. That's the largest investment by a provincial government, not only in Canada, but all in North America. And so we are the government that has broken ground on not only Ontario line, but the Scarborough subway extension, the Eglinton West extension, the Young Road subway extension is in its final phases. Those projects are going to bring hundreds and thousands of people within walking distance. But as we've been very clear, and as what we have said in the past, we believe in building highways. We're going to build the Rocky bypass, Highway 413. We're going to invest in public transit. We're going to invest to make sure people can get moving across this province. That's been our position. And we encourage people to use public transit as we have through our investments and through what we are doing. And we want to make sure that people have that choice and option as they can.
My second question is for the Prime Minister. This is from my colleagues at Radio Canada. I hope you can answer in English and French. Radio Canada has learned that all the arsenic treatments or programs in Eastern Quebec will have to contribute 25% of their resources to protect the border. Can you give a rough estimate of how many more agents will be assigned to the border?
Thank you for the question. Border security is a priority for our government, and we recognize how absolutely important it is. Canadians have the right to control who comes into Canada and to control who doesn't. And that means we have to make the necessary investments to keep ensuring that our border is secure. Our government is committed to doing that. Oh, excuse me. Nous comprenons l'importance de la sécurité à la frontière. Les Canadiens et Canadiennes ont le droit déterminer et contrôler qui peut entrer au Canada et qui ne peut pas entrer dans notre pays. Pour faire cela, on doit investir dans notre frontière, dans la sécurité, dans notre frontière. Notre gouvernement est absolument convaincu que c'est nécessaire. On a investi aujourd'hui dans la frontière et on va continuer d'investir dans la frontière. Nous comprenons qu'il y a partout au monde des défis en ce qui concerne les frontières et nous savons que c'est important pour nous de contrôler notre frontière, de faire les investissements nécessaires pour contrôler notre frontière. On fait cela et on va continuer de faire cela.
Jeff Craig from the Globe and Mail. My question is also for the Deputy Prime Minister, so if you want to step back up on the platform, that would be great. I wanted to ask about trade. In our paper this morning, a senior Mexican official called this idea of booting Mexico out of what I'm going to call NAFTA, and called it a betrayal. Can you tell us definitively, does Canada actually want to pursue a bilateral trade deal with the United States instead of a trilateral deal with includes Mexico?
The Prime Minister has been very clear on this. So let me repeat what he said really, really clearly when I was standing beside him on Thursday. Canada today has a North American trade deal that works for all three of our countries. And it is a trade deal that was negotiated by President-elect Donald Trump, which is a further guarantee for all of us. Canada's first preference and the best outcome for Canada is to maintain that foundational trade agreement. We also recognize that there are some challenges with Mexico's position when it comes to China. And I have heard Canadian business leaders and Canadian union leaders talk to about the concerns they have. The concerns that Mexico can be a backdoor for Chinese investment, for Chinese goods that are produced through an intentional policy of Chinese overcapacity that hurts our workers. It hurts people like those great workers in Thunder Bay that we've been talking about. So Canada has been clear about that. We've been clear about that with all of our partners in the NAFTA trade agreement. Thanks.
Just to pick up on that point, then my follow-up question, which is, can you tell us more about what evidence you've actually seen that China is actually currently used as sort of future testing? Is there evidence that China is using Mexico's auto industry currently as a backdoor to get around into
I would like to look at it from a positive perspective and from the perspective of the opportunities that all three NAFTA countries have to take a clear and aligned position to China. That is what Canada has very intentionally done. We recognize that Chinese overcapacity is a problem for Canada. It is just not fair to ask Canadian workers to compete against products that are made with labor standards that do not meet our level, with environmental standards that don't meet Canada's level. Our workers can't do it, and we know that China has an intentional policy of oversupply. And that is why Canada has introduced 100% tariffs on EVs, 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. We think that today there is an opportunity for all of the NAFTA countries to work together to have a fully aligned policy on China to protect all of our workers and to ensure that we are supporting each other in this really important effort. That is what Canada is doing, and I think that there are some real opportunities to work together on that. Thanks.
Sean Shea with Global News. I too have a question for the Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy, I'm wondering if your government is willing to expand the eligibility of who can get the $250 rebate that your government is proposing to send out as the NDP has been asked.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We put forward a measure to support hard-working Canadians. We know Canadians have been through a lot through some really challenging times, and our government put forward a measure that will put some money back in the pockets of hard-working Canadians. The reality, though, is we are a minority in Parliament, and so we put forward a measure, and we sought the support of opposition parties for this really positive measure. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that support. We're going to continue to work with all members of Parliament to support hard-working Canadians, to support Canadians with their affordability challenges.
And then just as a follow-up to that, with respect to HST and GST rebates or pauses on charges, things like a $1,000 bump of champagne, the $950 Sony PlayStation 5, those were exempted from the plan. And once they were included in the plan, why something would be able to get an exemption from paying GST on that and other items that might be more important to them than others?
Yeah, it's a very good question. In putting together the list, we looked at two things. First of all, what were the items that would really help Canadian families over the holidays to afford the things they need and maybe to save a little bit of money for the things that they want. We know that our governments can't control the price at the checkout, but we can help put a little bit more money back in the pockets of Canadians so that they can afford what they need, save a little money for what they want. And that's why we included things like diapers, car seats, children's winter clothes, prepared foods at grocery stores. I've heard from so many working moms that being able to pick up prepared food at the end of the today, being able to afford that rotisserie chicken is a real gift. So that was the thinking behind the list. We also had to be practical. So we had to look at what were the goods that practically we could do this for, what were the goods that we defined in the tax code. And so that's the thinking behind what was chosen in the list. Thanks.
Iynkaran, with the logic, I want to direct my questions to the Prime Minister. The technology company Tencent reportedly has deep ties with the Chinese Communist Party. Does its investment in Canadian fintech Neo raise national security concerns at all? What is the government doing to address this?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to China, we are concerned about China's intentional policy of overcapacity, what that does to our workers, what that does to our core industries. We also have security concerns, and that is why our government has been taking a more rigorous approach than any previous government with looking at China's inward investment into Canada and being sure that it doesn't compromise our own security, it doesn't compromise the security and resilience of our supply chains. And this is more important today than ever because a strength that Canada brings to all of our partnerships in the world is being able to provide our partners, our allies, with secure and resilient supply chains in things like critical minerals and metals, rare earths, in commodities and products that for too long we have all been uniquely dependent on and vulnerable to China. So that's why our government is taking a more rigorous approach when it comes to Chinese inward investment than any previous Canadian government.
Right, and a question on trade negotiations. The digital services tax keeps coming up as imperative in relation to the U.S. Even Ambassador Cohen has said it's something that the Biden administration would have a big fight over. Would that be something Canada could put on the table in trade negotiations?
So when it comes to the DST, Canada's position is really simple. I work for Canadians. My job is to defend our national interest in the world. And the reality is many of our allies, the UK, France, Italy, currently have a digital services tax in place. They are using that tax to collect revenue to make necessary investments in their own countries, investments in things like public transit. We know our country needs investment, we know it costs money, and Canada will not accept not being on a level playing field with our partners and allies. That's our position.
There's a report that North is considering partnering with a major Chinese battery company. Are you concerned about this, and would the government allow any Chinese ownership of the Northvolt battery plant in Quebec?
I'm not going to comment on this speculation.
This week, you said that the gridlock in Parliament is making it difficult to present a fall economic statement. Are you looking at other options for delivering the fall economic statement, or will it still be presented as a speech to Parliament?
Thank you for the truly excellent question. And I mean that utterly sincerely. The reality is our Parliament has been blocked for more than 2 months now by Conservative protests. And this is not just parliamentary fun games. This is an action, a choice by the Conservatives, by federal Conservatives, that is having real consequences for our government and Canadians. So yes, it is posing a real challenge, and I would invite Canadians to turn to the Conservatives and to really call on them to let Parliament get to work doing good things for the people of Canada. We need more announcements like the one that we have today, and to do that, we're going to need a Parliament that functions.
Can I
just ask a question about today's announcement, both for the Deputy and for Minister Mayer. You both mentioned that these new cars will be built in Thunder Bay. My understanding is that the TTC has not actually issued a procurement for this yet. So can you clarify, is this funding contingent on these cars being built in Thunder Bay by Austin?
You have here the federal government, the provincial government, the city of Toronto, and people who run the TTC. And I think all of us are in wild, emphatic agreement that we want these subway cars to be built in Thunder Bay.
My name is Greg Persky. I'm the CEO of the TTC. In fact, we have not released the procurement yet. We are ready to press send. There'll be a notice going out on Monday. And by all means, we're pleased to have them also as a serious competitor on the fleet. But it will be open broadly as well.
Just one quick question. This is to be. Highway 407, this is for Highway 407 says there's no discussion queue about buying a package. Is that an option yet to explore, or have you looked at that?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Look, we're always in conversation with the 407 on a variety of issues and measures. Our government's response has always been to find the ways to relieve congestion in the province. That's why the Premier announced the feasibility study on the tunnel under the 401, which will be the longest tunnel one tunnel in the world. We know that our highways are going to be at capacity in the next couple of years. That's why we're also investing in the 413 drive and bypass. We need to get people to their families quicker and faster. And so as a government, we will always review every option possible, whether it be investing in public transit like we are here today, in supporting the TTC in transit users and riders in Toronto, or whether it's making sure you can get to your family faster in the GTA, whether that be along the 401, the 427, 410. It's about building. We've seen record immigration growth in our provinces. We need our infrastructure to keep up with that. And we have $100 billion over the next 10 years to get people moving. And so we'll continue to have conversations on a variety of ways to relieve congestion and build a quick future. Thank you.
Minister, question about the Scarborough design. So much question, it's a lot of Minister Transportation on the Metro Explorer meeting yesterday, Bill Lesser described the conditions, soil conditions that are hampering the progress of the Scarborough extension. What are those solutions that how long is this going to delay? What's the problem?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question, Jamie. And look, as we're building and as we're working through transit contracts, we know it can be difficult, but we always give great team of metrics to get the solutions to those issues and problems. And we're working very closely. We know that we need to get shovels in the ground. We're in the ground, moving through it. And so as the development machine continues to move, we'll continue to manage and we'll continue to ensure that a solution is put forward that works. And I'm very confident in that because we've done a great job telling on the West Extension. Ontario Line's got all of their planning contracts underway as well. So we have confidence in the team to work through that, get this subway built because like we're here today, we know how important transit is and how important the TTC is and how important it is to get people moving across the province. And we expect to do that because people in Scarborough need the transit, deserve it, and this line was promised to them. And that's why we've got the shovels in the ground and we'll do everything to get it moving. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
There will be no B-roll outside. It will be a family photo and then it will be over. Slight change of plans to adjust.